Hello, welcome to Eavesdropping at the Movies. I'm Mike.
And I'm Jose.
And we've seen The House with a Clock in Its Walls, which I'm going to go on record and say is an awful title for a film.
It's an awful title for a film, and it's an awful film.
It's not an awful film, but it's pretty bad.
Okay. Well, let's not quibble about degrees of awfulness. I really wanted to like it because I love the cast, and I love fantasy, and I love stories like this, actually.
Well, let's not go overboard. When you love the cast, what you mean is you love Jack Black and Cate Blanchett, because that's it.
And Carl McClanahan.
Oh, Carl McLachlan, yeah.
McLachlan.
But he's sort of... I wish he was more recognisable.
Well,
let's not spoil it.
He's very good, in it.
Let's just say, without spoilers, it's about this very young kid who's 10 or 11 years old. Parents have died, goes to live with his uncle, Jack Black, in this kind of creepy big house, a little bit like sort of Lemony Snicket. Uncle, turns out, is a sort of a magician. Next door neighbour, Cate Blanchett, is always hanging around. She's a magician too, but they're not just magicians; they're actually warlocks and witches. And there's quite advanced sort of magic going on. So the kid begs, "Let me learn." Set in the 1950s, by the way. So there's kind of a fun thing going on where he's learning magic, but then some twisted stuff starts to happen. The kid gets into some darker places because he wants to sort of make friends at school, and also there's a house with a clock in its walls. This clock keeps on ticking and ruining Jack Black's life, and he needs to know where this ticking is coming from because he's very worried about it.
Yes,
that's the plot.
It's a film for children, really, I can imagine children looking at it on television and liking it very much and getting obsessed with it, I didn't like the design for the film, but actually there is a lot of thought taken with the gadgets and the chair, with making the house magical. So, though it's not particularly elegantly or intriguingly filmed, it has interesting things within the frame.
The house is kind of alive.
Yeah.
So what I particularly liked was the stained glass window on the stairs that moves and changes.
Yes.
And reflects kind of what's going on, or has kind of messages to give to the inhabitants of the house. And of course, the thing that people will probably pick up on the most is the armchair that's basically a really happy, like, spaniel that follows them around.
Yes.
And he keeps having to say, stay, to the chair.
But it has lots of things like that, books that are alive and, pumpkins that threaten, and hedges that are really lions that actually have bodily functions and can attack. So, the world that it kind of brings to life is a really interesting one. The way it brings it to life is really not very interesting.
Well, it's directed by Eli Roth, who couldn't direct his way out of the paper bag as far as I'm concerned. I don't like him. This is probably his best film, which is not saying much.
No, it's definitely not saying much. I thought it was dreadful. I was very bored. So let me say what I liked most first. First, Cate Blanchett, who's just great. There's a moment at the beginning when you're introduced to her, and actually just the way that she puts her feet, like Mary Poppins, her body posture, or her posture with her feet only, is a laugh. It's very amusing, So here is this great actress kind of, getting effects from an audience just by the position of her feet. I thought she was amazing. I love Jack Black, and he was wonderful. Though, he's getting a bit old for shtick, He's
not nearly as charming as he has been in the past, and I think he's really trying as well. I think it falls flat quite a bit. His material isn't that great, to be fair to him.
Yes.
But, I guess when you think back on... The film that's coming to mind for me is Lemony Snicket. And when you think back on Jim Carrey in that film, it was just... everything that his character did made me laugh.
Yes.
Pretty much everything. And I wanted Jack Black to be like that in this, and he wasn't.
On the other hand, he sometimes gets laughs out of really puerile dialogue just from the way he says it.
Yeah.
So, well done. Is it Jack or Joe?
Jack Black.
So, that was great. The
kids can't act.
The kids can't act. But actually, what drives me crazy about these kids in movies? I don't know if you've noticed this.
Go on.
Or maybe it's my prejudice. why do they all have blue eyes? You know, why is part of their cuteness and adorableness always signified by blue eyes? I was thinking, why can't they get like a black-eyed kid? You know, is it that they, you know, these Aryan Nazis can't imagine somebody being cute and adorable without blue eyes?
It's that kind of. I guess it's. I suppose you're right. There's kind of like it's like a symbolism of like Americana sort of really toxic thing actually going on. I mean, you can imagine David Lynch making this movie and casting blue-eyed kids, but then making them the most evil ones.
The Omen or something.
Yeah,
you know.
because underneath it turns out that's the most evil thing.
Yeah, but actually,
you're right, it's quite creepy.
It's not just creepy. It is. There's a whole ideology around it that I find offensive.
Yeah.
Like, and you know, and elitist and actually white supremacist.
Yeah.
You know, that you can't imagine a kid being adorable without blue eyes. It's offensive.
Yeah. Although to be fair, in a way, I'm kind of reminded of that Eddie Murphy bit where he's talking about the horror movie. Why black people aren't in horror movies is because the moment that the house says "get out," then they leave. So, whereas the white people are like, you know, I love the view, whatever. But you're right. There doesn't need to be like fucking Aryan sort of supremacist stereotypes. It's quite creepy.
Anyway, I was quite bored, you know, and actually, it kind of annoyed me because, for me, this is really a kind of film that I enjoy so much, you know, about with like spells and witches and houses that come alive and you know, books is the key to spells and power and like it's got all of those things I like, and it's just like incompetently done, really, you know. So I was really let down.
I also think actually it has a low opinion of kids. I think it doesn't understand kids in a way, like because it's so simplistic, it's so basic. What happens? It's just the kid wants to learn some magic. The uncle teaches him some magic. He says, "Don't go in this cabinet because I'm not letting you in there." They go in the cabinet. It's a book that lets you bring people back from the dead. Bring people back from the dead. The guy who comes back from the dead wants to reset the world to zero by turning the clocks back, and then they stop him. It's super basic in terms of the plot and everyone's kind of motivations and things. And I think actually it strikes me as it's been made by people who don't understand kids, because actually kids are more sophisticated than this.
Of course.
They really are.
Yeah.
This underestimates its audience.
Yes, and actually, the whole relationship between the kids was as you say, was really talking down to them. You know.
Yeah, I think so.
Including the vengeful thing at the end. You know, which is a good joke.
What was the vengeful
with
thing?
the ball and the spell at the end? It was the best thing in the trailer. You know, when the kid says, "Come play with our team," and he says,
"Oh yeah, sorry."
You know,
right,
so he gets his revenge for not being picked earlier. You know, which I think is you know, they turn into a good visual joke, but actually I think it fundamentally misunderstands, you know, the kid psychology basically.
What I did like was when Cate Blanchett is using her umbrella against all the pumpkins and she's firing it like a laser gun, and it actually uses like Star Wars type blaster sounds. That tickled me. I thought that was quite good fun.
Well, just to add another word, I think there's a lot of imagination and talent in this film that's really destroyed by the direction, because everything that Cate Blanchett wears, for example, has been really carefully chosen. You know, so she's wearing all purple and her jewelry's all purple, you know, and her jewelry's like from the right period. It's really like all Art Nouveau, you know, and so on, right? And it's all designed perfectly, and so like all her collars are a bit wonky and everything about her is a bit wonky, like it's a bit upside down. So you can see that the dress designer and the set designer and people have taken great trouble, you know, to kind of put those details into the image. And then it seems like, you know, well, actually neither the director nor the screenwriters have been able to do much with it.
Well, there's also an element of like cartoon character design which I quite appreciated as well. There's this idea in cartooning that you should be able to tell any character from their silhouette.
Yes.
And you know, the difference between the kind of straight-laced, very sharp Cate Blanchett characters always stood up, bolt upright, and she's very, very thin. Contrasted with, you know, Jack Black, who's a big, round, you know, kind of fun sack.
Yes.
Again, I really appreciate it. And they play off each other really well. And I liked, so I did like elements of the way they play together.
Yes.
And I also like the kind of undertow of the loss of family. You know, the kid has just lost his mum and dad, that the uncle has just lost his sister, and then there's the whole thing with him about him having abandoned her and not kind of realising that he loved her or something like that. And you've also got Cate Blanchett's character having lost her daughter years ago, and then it's done in dialogue. It's very very it's in the text. No, it's on the Facebook though. It's in the text that they coalesce and they become a family of black swans at the end.
I mean, but it's also tried, because I think all of those things are very underdeveloped. So, for example, you are meant to think that there was something between the Jack Black character and the Kyle MacLachlan character. You know, they have a history, and you know, but actually the film never makes it clear. So you kind of suspect that to him that's the equivalent loss, you know, of than the family is to the other kids. But it's never fully fleshed out in a way that kind of makes it emotionally understandable.
Well, everything to do with Kyle MacLachlan's character is a complete failure. You know, I really dislike the fact that when he comes back from the dead, he is unrecognisable. I wanted to be able to recognise his features and see his face. When a guy comes back from the dead and is a kind of slightly zombified version of himself, he doesn't have to look unrecognisable.
And
I like
particularly someone so iconic as him,
right? And
with such distinctive features.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's just a bad job. That's just bad.
It's a bad job, and they make him into a blob, and they just didn't. It's laziness and not caring or not having the right ideas. Really,
yeah.
It is the kind of film where you go, if only they'd come to me,
I would have done it better.
I could have told them they were going wrong in a way. You do kind of feel like that because it's a film that I think shows its young audience no respect, and doesn't have enough intelligence in anything else.
Well, you're right, and I think for those reasons we shouldn't give it much more space than we have until now. So, you know, we both disliked it. I hate recommending for people not to go see films.
I'm sure it would distract your kids.
Yeah. Let's just say there's a lot better stuff to see at the moment than this one, and this would go, very low down on my list.
But having said that, I don't know what else is out for kids at the moment. That's probably it.
I really don't know.
No, I don't think there is.
Well, I suspect there is. They're all
slim pickings for children these days.
That's not true. Like, you know, so many.
Well, I just mean like this week.
Yeah. So stay home this week, Mom.
Just honestly, put on Lemony Snicket. It's way better.
Well, I think that's what they do. I mean, it's very rare for parents to take their kids out to the cinema unless they hear that the film is really like great, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
so and this one isn't. So, all right. Thank you very much for listening. We are Eavesdropping at the Movies, and we are on SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube, eavesdroppingatthemovies.com, and you can see us on Twitter and on Facebook.
Smashing.
Ta-ra.
Bye-bye.